I was going to have my ball python here with me to film, but today is actually their feeding days, and they're also both in shed. So, sorry guys, but I do have my pup here, if that counts for anything, and I think it does. I think I just woke her up. Sorry, Cookie.
Hey guys, my name is Brittany, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about where to adopt or buy your ball python. I was going to make this video originally, but I decided to make it much sooner because one of my subscribers, he requested this video, and his name is That Hamilton Fan, just a shout out real quick. So because of this person, I decided to make this video now. So I always preach adopt, don't shop. Okay, so for starters, I always preach adopt, don't shop. So basically meaning before you look at any pet stores or any breeders, I really do recommend looking at your local shelters because there are a lot of abandoned reptiles there. Not just ball pythons, but bearded dragons, leopard geckos, any animal really that you could find that is a common animal that is sold in chain pet stores, you can find at a shelter most of the time. Now, I've looked at my local shelters and they don't seem to have any anytime that I'm looking to get a new ball python, and I really wish that I was closer to the ones that did, because animal shelters are really made for cats and dogs. So the people that care for these, not any hate or anything, but they just don't know how to care for a ball python. And while the ball python is up for adoption, I don't think that he's getting the correct care from the people that volunteer there or work there, because the people that volunteer and work there they're there for the dogs and cats, let's face it. They don't know about the snakes most of the time. I'm not saying like all the time, but generally, you know, that's what happens. So if you can't find what you're looking for at an animal shelter, then I do recommend going to a reputable breeder or a local non-chain pet store. This means an exotic pet store, basically anything that's not PetSmart or Petco. And even if they're not, and even if they're exotic, and let's say they're family owned and everything, make sure you know the place, make sure you've talked to the owners of the store, and make sure that you know exactly where you're getting your snake or reptile from. Because sometimes exotic pet stores are awesome and they're really great places to get your animals from, but sometimes they're no better than PetSmart or Petco. So just make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, and just make sure you're getting a healthy animal. On the contrary,
I never ever recommend getting your animal from either PetSmart or Petco.
And I'm going to make a whole video on this, on why you shouldn't do this, but basically the gist of it is because you will more than likely not get a healthy animal, especially if you are going to shop for a reptile. And I cannot tell you how many times I've been into Petco and I've complained. I've been that person before, and I've complained and said, hey, this is not a good environment for a ball python and it's stick skinny. And that's not, your ball python should be pretty chunky. So I really don't recommend doing that. And another thing is, for beginners, sometimes people do go straight to the breeders or to the exotic pet shops, and that's fine too. If you're a beginner, if this is your first snake, I understand why you wouldn't want to adopt, because you don't know if you're getting a healthy animal in that aspect either. But if you have a ball pythons already, like let's say like me, one of my ball pythons was bought at Reptile Expo and the other is a rescue. So if I were to get another ball python, I would try my hardest to get another one from an animal shelter, because I know what I'm doing at this point, and I think that I could handle if I were to get another sick ball python, let's say. So if this is your first snake, then I do recommend, most of the time I recommend going to somewhere where you're going to know you're going to get a healthy snake. So a breeder or a reputable breeder at that, and or an exotic pet store that knows what they're doing as well. I would understand that if you are a first-time pet owner or a snake owner and you don't want to adopt, because if this animal did turn out to be sick, I understand that you wouldn't necessarily know what to do because you haven't been around ball pythons enough to understand their behavior and what to do if they're sick. But there are some people out there that, you know, have a bunch of ball pythons and they've never ever adopted, and I don't really agree with this. I think that, you know, there are plenty of ball pythons in the shelters. I think you should at least look at your local, you know, animal shelters, or look around and see, maybe Craigslist. Sometimes Craigslist people don't necessarily want money for their snakes. They just want somebody to take it and so it can have a good home because they can't take care of it anymore, or their son or daughter or something can't take care of it anymore. So I would recommend looking at that before anything else if you are interested in saving an animal's life, which hopefully a lot of you are, if you are interested in getting a snake. Yeah, well, so basically, adopt, don't shop. And if you can't adopt, then shop. Make sure where you're shopping from is a reputable source. Make sure that where you're adopting from, maybe you can see the parents of the animal that you're buying from, and you can talk to the breeder and get to know how they're eating, if they've eaten every week, if they're good eaters, if they're off live food, what they're eating, how they've shed, and what their behavior is like, and stuff like that. So if the breeder is able to tell you all of these things, it usually means that they are a reputable breeder and that they know what they're doing, and I would feel comfortable buying my snake from them at this point in time. And then if you can't even do this and you say, oh, but you know, buying something from the pet shop like PetSmart or Petco is cheaper, it's easier, it's more convenient, then don't get a snake. Point blank, period. Like, if you want to get a snake from PetSmart or Petco and you think maybe you're saving it by buying it, you're not. You're just giving money to the corporation, because whatever you buy has to be replaced with another sick snake, and it's just a big mess. Sure, you could go in there and complain as much as you want, but they're not going to give you that animal for free, and if they do, that's awesome. Then that, I would consider that a rescue. But if they don't, please don't pay for the snake, because you're just paying for another snake to be sick, and another snake to be sick after that. And it's just a cycle of sadness. So that is what I recommend. That is what Pookie recommends too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to...
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.